You feel your psychic powers burrowing through North's ethereal barrier. You almost penetrated the shield when suddenly you sense the presence of the Dark God himself. He is pouring the essence of his evil into the breach, repairing the damage you've inflicted. Immediately you cease your telekinesis. You are mortally afraid of allowing Nor the opportunity of locating and attacking your mind force, for if he were to do so, you risk losing not only your sanity, but also your soul. Despite not having made a telepathic contact with Guildmaster Bainton, you refuse to believe that he and Lord Remoa are dead. You resolve instead to reach the Kai Monastery and destroy the Shadowgate as soon as you're able, and strengthened by this resolution, you return to the Council of War and announce your decision to the King. You show the Council the Shun Crystal that Gwynedd gave you, and you tell them how you intend to use it. Ulnar and the Barons applaud your plan and your steadfast courage. The King places under your command his elite guard cavalry regiment, so that you may be able to use them to break through the enemy's line at its weakest point, and reach the Kai Monastery. Captain Dival, commander of the guard cavalry, knows where the weak point is, and he will guide you to it. The King dissolves the council, and as the barons return to their armies in the field, he orders you to rest in his chambers for a few hours. "Get some sleep, Grandmaster," he says, patting you paternally on the shoulder. "You will need it. You ride with the god at dawn." As the sun rises above the waters of the Holm Gulf, it sheds its golden light upon the hopeful citizens of Holmgard, who have gathered to cheer your departure. You ride out of the King's citadel at the head of the guard cavalry regiment, with Captain Dival at your side. Bouquets of sun-lending roses are thrown before the hoofs of your warhorse, and your ears ring to the jubilant cries of the crowd as you, and the brave horsemen at your back, ride with pride through the city streets that lead to Holmgard's north gate. Once outside the city, you order your troops to couch their lances and form up in column, 4 abreast, in readiness for a swift ride to north. At midday, you cross the river Unuram and meet with a patrol of border rangers who are guarding a junction. A track emerges from the Frylund forest and joined with the main road from the west at this point. Although it is unsigned, you recognize its rugged surface at once. It is the Alema Trail, one of several forest tracks which leads to the Kai Monastery, 30 miles distant. Captain Dival tells you that the enemy line is weakest at a place several miles along this trail. The border rangers come quickly to attention when they see you approaching. Their leader, a sergeant with a battle-wounded leg, warns you that the enemy was seen earlier flying over this area of the forest. You acknowledge his salute, and then you give the order for the regiment to form up in column, 2 abreast, before leading them along the trail and into the Frylund forest. You have covered less than a mile of this woodland track when you find yourself descending a gentle slope towards the stream, a tributary of the Unuram. There once was a bridge which crossed the watercourse at this point, but has long since collapsed. Its ancient stone now forms a ford which carries the trail over to the far side of the stream. Do you wish to use Grand Hunt Mastery?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your Kai Mastery alerts you to a beam of ultraviolet light at the exit from the fort. This pencil-thin beam emanates from behind the H-worn keystone of the old bridge, crosses the exit just inches off the ground, and disappears into some bushes opposite. "Column, halt!" you shout, bringing the regiment to a stop at the approach to the fort. "Is something wrong, Grandmaster?" asks Dival anxiously. "Perhaps," you reply, staring at the beam which is invisible to the captain's eyes. "Wait here, Captain, while I satisfy my curiosity." You urge your horse forward and approach the fallen keystone. As you draw closer, you sense that it conceals an explosive device constructed from materials not of this world. It is an elaborate booby trap planted here by Norse minions, and it is set to detonate should any large creature unwittingly break the beam. Do you wish to use Grand Nexus?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You can tell Captain Dival to take the regiment 50 yards back along this trail. When he has complied with your order, you move upstream until you can see at an angle the source of the ultraviolet beam. It is a shiny metallic polyhedron studded with rivets. Using your Kai Mastery of Nexus, you cause the device to rise. You lift it no more than a few inches when suddenly it is torn apart by a violent explosion that papers the area around the fort with sharp splinters of rocks. As the dust of the explosion clears, you signal to Dival to bring the regiment forward. "Thank Isha, you were with us," says the captain as he leads the men across the fort. "Without you, this wicked sorcery would have cost us dear." After the explosion at the fort, you sense that the regiment is more wary of the surrounding forest. You proceed at a slower, more cautious pace, and keep a watchful eye on the trail ahead. You have not gone very far when your eagle eyes detect something amiss in the undergrowth away to your right. You magnify your vision and see a patch of grey among the greens of the forest floor. After a few moments, you recognize it to be the sole of a man's boot. Do you wish to halt the troop and examine what you have seen more closely, or to ignore it?
Let's examine it.
Agreed.
You signal to Captain Dival to bring the regiment to a halt. Then, as soon as they are stationary, you dismount and move into the undergrowth alone. Stealthily, you advance towards the boat, suspecting it to be another of the enemy's booby traps. But when you get to within a few feet, you see that it's no trap. A knot tightens in the pit of your stomach, and a tear wells up in your eye as you look with pity at what lies here. You have found the body of a kite master. His torn and crushed remains are clothed in the grey cloak and tunic that denotes his rank within the New Order. He has been dead for 2 or 3 days. At first, you can hardly bear to look at his face, but when you do, you recognize him at once. It is Swiftfire. He was the fastest runner of all the Kai, and you suspect he may have volunteered to use his speed to try to break through the enemy lines. Sadly, it seems, he could not outrun his fate. Respectfully, you cover his face with his cloak and say a short prayer to the god Kai to watch over his spirit. Then you return to the regiment and continue the ride along the trail. 2 miles further along the Alima Trail, you catch your first glimpse of Norse minions. You see 5 horny-skinned creatures hovering on the breeze 30 feet above the distant tree line. These creatures have wings and tails which shimmer like burnished gold, and armor like plates which protect their limbs and bellies. From their beaks protrude snaky tongues, and their claw-like hands at feet are tipped with talons that glint like sharpened knives in the sunlight. You recognize these creatures at once. They are Lavas, winged horrors from the plane of darkness, the domain of the Dark God himself. The memory of your previous experience with these creatures sends a shiver coursing down your spine. With a silent signal, you bring the regiment to a halt. Captain Duval leans towards you from his saddle and whispers, "Here's the enemy who has your monastery surrounded, Grandmaster, and this is the weakest point in my line." "I know this place," you reply quietly. "The monastery lies over the next ridge of trees. We are to break through here. We must be quick about it. These creatures can take to the skies. It would not take them long to summon reinforcement." "You're right, Grandmaster. The risks are indeed great, but I and my men are willing to take them to ensure you return to the monastery of the Kai. You must get through. You're the only one who can destroy the Shadowgate and remove the curse from our land." "Very well then, Captain," you reply and sheathe your weapon. "As we order to prepare to charge." You lead the regiment along the trail to where the surrounding forest opens out into the shallow meadow. Along the center of this grassy clearing, there meanders a small stream, where a dozen of the winged creatures are spread unevenly along the muddy banks. They are staring intently at the water, seemingly fascinated by the sight of the trout swimming there, and at first they do not see the regiment approaching. You give a signal to change formation to form into 2 lines abreast for the charge. Then you glance at the wooded rise on the far side of the meadow, knowing that beyond this ridge lies your goal, the Kai Monastery. Suddenly, one of the creatures hovering over the stream raises the alarm, and his ghastly brothers growl with surprise. Unnervingly, they clack their beaked jaws as they survey the king's cavalry, as if they are relishing the thought of an imminent feast. You order the men to lower their lances, and then, with a smile of grim determination on your lips, you spur your horses forward and give voice to your battle cry, "For Summerlund and the Kai!" The king's cavalry sweep down the meadow and engulf the winged horrors, driving their lances through their steely hides. You see 2 of the creatures disappear beneath a thundering wave of hoofs, and another 2 are caught from behind as they attempt to take to the air. You strike one creature a blow to his head as you gallop across the stream. It glances off its iron-hard skull, but the force is sufficient to stun the beast. As it staggers drunkenly in your wake, Captain Vol, who is leading the second line, bears towards it and runs it through with his lance. Once you are over the stream, you spur your horse up the grassy rise towards the top of the ridge, now no more than 100 yards distant. You're within a second of reaching the crest of the ridge when suddenly one of the creatures comes swooping out of the sky. It fixes you with its glowing eyes and extends its talon as it comes screaming down towards your face. Picture time! This is coming towards your face.
They still look kind of funny.
Yeah.
If I could be allowed to see the picture, I will give some judgment on it. Oh, let us see. Loading, and loading, and loading, and loading, and loading, and loading. And we might as well proceed until I can see the picture. No, wait, I cannot. Can now. And, yeah. I really have no idea what to describe them as a mix of.
Do you wish to use Magi magic?
Yeah, sure.
You intone the words of the Old Kingdom spell Invisible Fist and extend the palm of your right hand, pointing it towards the belly of the swooping beast. You feel a surge of energy leap from your palm and shoot towards the creature. It senses your attack and veers in midair to avoid it, but its reactions are too slow to escape being hit. The concussive force of your spell deals a crushing blow to its chest, and momentarily stunned by the impact, the beast loses control and hits the ground with a sickening crunch. Suddenly you hear Captain Duval's strident voice rising above the din of the battle. "Right on, Lone Wolf," he shouts. "Right to the monastery!" You glance over your shoulder and see the captain's men locked in combat with the winged creatures. More are swooping in from the east now, drawn by the cries of their brothers. The tide of the battle is turning against Devol's men, and your heart goes out to them as they struggle bravely against the increasing odds. Your instinct is to turn back, but you heed the captain's plea and urge your horse on towards the top of the ridge. The best way you can serve these courageous men now is to reach the Kai Monastery and destroy the Shadow Gate. You crest the ridge and your spirit soar when you see the Kai Monastery 2 miles distant. The checkered battle banner of the Kai flutters atop this Tower of the Sun, proudly defiant in the face of the hordes of the winged lava circling overhead. The monastery is largely intact, though much of its surrounding walls have been damaged, and plumes of smoke rise from the inner keep and training park. Yet even at this distance you sense that it's still being held secure from Norse loathsome minions. Picture time! Again. Yeah.
Let's have a look. Huh. Yeah. They have not breached the inner wall, but the outer one has taken quite the beating.
Yeah, but it's still not down as far as I can see. It's damaged, but it's still standing.
The New Order have indeed proved themselves worthy in your absence. However, the pride you feel for your young acolytes is tempered by the price that has been paid. At the base of the Tower of the Sun, you can see the blackened wreckage of the Sky Rider, Bane and Skyship, twisted and gutted where it fell to earth. There are bodies strewn about it, but at this distance, even with your magnified vision, you cannot tell if they are friend or foe. Dusk is already upon the land, and darkness will be total within the hour. Mindful of the circling lavas who command the skies, you decide to abandon your horse and continue from here on foot. It will be harder for the enemy to spot you moving through the forest on foot than if you were to continue on horseback. Do you wish to use Kai Screen?
Yep.
Yes.
You resolve to reach a clearing in the Frylund Forest, a mile to the east of the monastery, where a secret entrance and passageway are located. The passage leads directly to your vault beneath the Tower of the Sun, and it is your intention to gain entry to the monastery by this way. Before you set off towards the woods, you use your psychic mind blend ability as an extra camouflage precaution. Quickly it proves to be wise, for no sooner have you begun to run for the trees than a flight of winged lavas comes soaring out of the clouds overhead. You throw yourself to the ground and they pass by without slowing. Once they disappear beyond the ridge, you get to your feet and continue your run for the trees. You rush into the forest and glance overhead to make doubly sure that you are not being tracked by the winged lavas. The darkening sky is clear of the enemy, and confidently you press on through the trees, sure in your ability to remain undetected now that you are in your natural environment of the forest.
What?
What?
This just doesn't fit with the fact that Lone Wolf hates trees.
Maybe they have reached an accord in the meantime.
Maybe.
Mostly because the trees can no longer match his fearsome power, and they rather not get cut down.
Oh, that might be.
Soon you reach the clearing and hurry to a boulder which bears the imprint of a human hand. You place your right hand upon it, and the imprint fits around it like a glove. Silently a hinged stone slab rises up from the ground, revealing a stair that leads down into a brick-lined passageway. You enter and hurry along this familiar tunnel, covering a mile before you come to a door that opens automatically as you approach.
Quickly, to the Kai Cave!
Beyond lies the Vault of the Sun, your personal stronghold. It radiates a warm golden light. It is the rays of the lore stones of Nyxator. Once safely inside your underground lair, you pause to allow the radiant light of the lore stones to wash over your tired and aching limbs. And within the space of a few heartbeats, the fatigue of your long journey home is melted away. You recover full life.
How convenient. But yeah, we need that.
Revived and revitalized, you throw open the door to the vault and see a young Kai master standing guard at the foot of the tower stairwell. He is Saberfox, one of your most gifted students. Grandmaster, he stammers, hardly daring to believe his eyes. You have returned. Praise the gods, our prayers have been answered. You smile at the young Kai master, who now has tears of joy in his steel grey eyes. Yes, Saberfox, you reply, I have returned. Now let us vanquish this foe and rid our lands of their evil shadow.